Losley Hall Farm, situated near Uttoxeter in the English Midlands, was assailed by a poltergeist in 1910, according to a newspaper report from the August 28th edition of Lloyd's News of that year. The occupants of the haunted house were a Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Wilson worked as a bailiff for a farmer named Richardson. While seated at supper one night at 10 p.m, strange noises were heard coming from a landing upstairs. From that direction also came a hail of bottles, boots, and other missiles. The Wilsons rushed up the stairs to catch the culprit, but could find nobody there. What they discovered was that the upstairs was in chaos. Their bedroom had been turned into a mess, with the furniture overturned and bedding tossed onto the floor. Mattresses had been conveyed from one room to another, and ornaments were missing. Convinced an intruder must be hiding somewhere in the house, the Wilsons called in some farmhands to help them search the house systematically, but no housebreaker was found despite this. The Wilsons retired to bed, but got a restless night. As the Wilsons slept in their bed, a table vanished from their room without disturbing them. Then the door opened, and all manner of articles were thrown into the room. When Mr. Wilson got up to investigate, he was assailed with bottles and stones thrown by the unseen attacker. Uncanny noises were heard echoing in other parts of the house, and another search was made, without result. During the day, Mrs. Wilson found herself being pelted with knives, forks, and bottles. Although she escaped injury, 27 window panes were smashed, and other possessions of the family ruined. It was a close thing, though, with knives thrown in her direction, just missing her head and embedding themselves in the door. This ghostly barrage was repeated over several nights, again without the author of the mayhem being found. Neighbours were invited in by the terrified couple, but the events proved too troubling for them to remain. Police assistance was called in, and the poltergeist proved itself to be unconcerned by an official investigation. A constable saw a light extinguished in a room he knew to be absolutely empty. Finally, the Staffordshire police announced they had identified the spook causing the trouble for the past 6 days. They had managed to get a 14-year-old girl employed on the farm to confess to planning and carrying out the havoc. They did not explain how she was able to do all of this undetected by anyone, or what inspired her to do it. The girl had suffered sunstroke some years earlier and was considered peculiar by the locals. Her identity was not revealed. Whether the girl was responsible herself, or was an unwitting channel for psychokinetic energy, or merely a convenient scapegoat for the police to absolve themselves of an annoying case, is not known. There does not seem to have been any follow-up on the case, but presumably the unwanted activity ceased. Who, or what, haunted Losley Hall Farm in the summer of 1910 remains a mystery to this day.